Okay, so today I'll be changing the charging port on my Motorola Edge Plus 5G UW. This is the 2022 model. The actual SKU number or the model number for this phone is XT2201-4. There are a lot of different kind of sub models, so if you just do a search for Motorola Edge Plus 5G or whatever, there's a bunch of different charging port styles that could pop up and you might get the wrong one. So make sure that you actually go into the settings on your phone and find where the actual SKU or the model number is and make sure that matches. So again, this is XT2201-4. So this is what that port will look like. So if you're trying to order one online, that's what it's gonna look like. And you'll see that, of course, when I open it up. Now, I have already taken the back cover, the glass back cover. The factory cover on these phones is actually made out of glass. This is just a cheap case, of course, that I have it in here. I already took it off because, of course, the reason why I am swapping out this port, my phone stopped charging. I tried everything. I tried to clean this out with air, tried to get a little like toothpick in there, kind of scrape it out. Nothing worked. So I thought, well, my phone's dying. I can't charge it. So as a last ditch effort, I just took off the cover, took everything apart right then and there. One, I wanted to make sure that I got the right charging port if I were to order a new one. And number two, I was like, maybe I can take it apart and like clean it a little bit better. And sure enough, it did work. Once I took it all apart, cleaned it more thoroughly, again, I sprayed it with more air, and that finally did get it to charge. But I knew that was a short-term fix, and that I'll show you guys here if you can see it. The little lines there on the charging port, they start to wear down. So I knew it was really just a matter of time. So I went ahead and ordered that. The site I ordered that from is AliExpress, which I believe is like the Chinese Amazon. First time ever going on that site. It actually shipped from a US warehouse, and it got here in about a week, so it wasn't too bad. The reason I used that site was because every other retailer didn't have them in stock at the time. I will also be swapping out the factory Motorola battery today. Originally, I was not going to change this because there was nothing wrong with my old one, but I will show you why later that I am going to be doing that. My factory cover, so the best way to get this cover off, guys, when you start, get either a hair dryer or a heat gun and just go over it to soften up the adhesive. It's fairly strong adhesive that kind of holds this on. So soften that up. I would use something that's maybe hard plastic, like a guitar pick or something like that, and then pry as you're going around. Mine was cracked and spidered, so I knew that I was gonna need a new case cover anyway. So I got this. This is a cheaper one. This is not glass like the factory one was, but I don't really care about that. So I just used this, like a little like tiny flathead screwdriver, and pried. And again, I was sort of in a hurry because I was more just trying to get my phone fixed, because it was just a matter of time until it stopped working altogether. Okay. So once you've done that, once you heated up the adhesive and gently pried off the back cover, this is what you'll find. This is the wireless charging pad. There's just two little pieces of tape on here. I actually replaced these myself with new strips of tape last time that I was in here, simply just because it started getting torn up a little bit, you know, from me taking it off. But that's all it is. It's just really electrical tape. Nothing special about it at all. And so you'll just gently pry up on that, see, and that'll lift up. And then, so the charging port's under here. This is a plate right here. And there's gonna be 6 little screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all Phillips head. So you'll need a very fine tip, but they're just a Phillips head. Nothing special about them at all. These do have a little bit of thread locker on them, blue Loctite thread locker. So the first time that you'll take them off, you know, there's a little bit there. They're very easy to take off. But you do want to make sure you have the right type of screwdriver so you don't strip them out, right? Because again, we're dealing with very fine screws here. So once you have all 6 of these off, I'll tell you what's next. Also, obviously at this point, you probably want to make sure that your phone is not turned on. So go ahead and power that thing off. That would be the first thing that you want to do, actually. Kind of helps if you have a magnetic tip on your screwdriver here. Not 100% necessary, but does help. And I'm putting these in a little bowl over here, just so I don't lose them, because they are tiny. That would be a headache. Not easy to find replacement screws that are this size. So all 6 of them. Now there is a 7th screw over here. This is the speaker, but you don't need to take out that speaker. That speaker can stay there. Okay, so now this plate, it basically just pops off. There's nothing holding it on once those 6 come out. So that's just a plastic cover. Set that to the side. Okay, so here you go. So that charging port that I showed you earlier, you can see it right there, right? Now, you won't be able to lift this just straight out of there because the frame of the phone here, the port actually goes into it a little bit there. So you'll have to lift up and kind of back at the same time. So because of that, you're gonna have to most likely not fully remove, but you'll have to lift up the battery just to get clearance to kind of pull it up and out at the same time. The battery is a little tricky the first time. It has some pretty strong adhesive. You might want to use a different tool. I do have like hard like plastic trim tools that I use all the time for other things, but those are kind of too large for this. I'm sure they make tools that would work a little better here. Again, this is just a very fine flathead screwdriver. The whole reason why I had to buy a new battery, again, this one still works, but you might be able to tell from that angle there. There's a little ridge, a raised part, a bump here, and I could not get my cover to seal completely. There was a bulge right here, and it would not seal flush all the way around on my phone because of that raised part there. And I tried to get it back down. So what had happened, because I've probably removed this 2 or 3 times now at this point. What had happened was with this tool, you know, I was kind of prying like this, and I think I slightly damaged the battery a little bit. Not to the point where it stopped working, but it did deform the shape of the battery enough. You know, everything in here is made to fit very, very precisely, right, and snug. So again, this is a little more easy for me because I've done this several times. But the first time, that adhesive is pretty sticky. That holds the phone in. But you'll want some sort of a tool. If you don't want to replace the battery like me, be very careful. And you'll just have to pry it up on that end. And that's really all that's holding it in there. It's just adhesive. So there we go. So you can see all that stuff right there is sticky. Okay, anyway, so that's up. So for right now, we don't have to remove that all the way. That'll give us the clearance we need. Now these right here, these little connectors, you literally just pry them up. They takes no effort at all. Be gentle, of course, careful. See, you can see kind of what style connectors those are right there. So you just pry those up. Now there is underneath here, if you can see it, right by those connectors I just pried up, there's a little silver screw in there. Again, it's just a Phillips. The same screwdriver will work. You can't mix it up with the other ones because this one's silver and all those other ones were black. But that silver one is holding in the whole chip or circuit board, I guess you'd call it. Okay, and then there is, so you can see these 3 wires. There's a blue, a black, and a white one there that come in down the side and they come along here. And they have these little tiny connectors on here. Again, you can just, takes no pressure at all. You could probably use your finger, but you're gonna have to disconnect this white one here, which you should probably do before you take out the silver screw now, because the whole chip's moving on me. There we go. I made that look harder than it had to be. All right, so now, as you can see, the whole thing basically wants to come out. Now, the corner of it here is under this other chip over here. So you could just take out one more silver screw right there, and that will allow you to at least lift up on this one a little bit for more clearance. Let's see, and I had done that previously. Let's see if I can get it out without taking that other one out. You know what? I think it's just gonna make it easier, so I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna remove this black one here as well. Okay. I think I can probably get away with leaving that blue one, so I'm gonna do that. But I gotta take out this little silver screw here. And these two silver screws are the same, so it doesn't really matter which one they go back into. Sorry guys, I have a little bit of a cold going on here. Okay, yeah, see that? There's just a little bit of wiggle room there, so you're not gonna force anything. Okay, so now at this point, you should be able to lift up and out. Kind of let gravity help here a little bit. Just be careful, take your time, no rush. It's pretty much out. Okay, there you go. So your old port is out. And here we go, let me get the, so here's the old one, guys. You can see how it's a little worn right there. And if I can compare it maybe to this new one here, I don't know if it shows up on the camera. These are nice fresh lines, real crisp. You can see these are a match. That's the old one. This is the new one over here. I did look earlier. I checked out the numbers on these. Some of these numbers match up perfectly. Other numbers are not exact. I think that's just from a different batch, right? Different manufacturing run and everything. I don't necessarily think this new chip is an OEM chip, which is fine with me. I don't really care. I just want this phone to last at least another 6 months to a year. With this is an OEM factory battery, because from my past experiences with other things like tools and stuff, knockoff name batteries, not really worth it. So now we're gonna put it back in, guys. Again, it really only goes in one way. So these little connectors here have to face up, of course, that's for these. Again, the corner has to go under this other tab on the left here. And you kinda, I mean, it really only goes in one way. There's actually a little locating tab, kind of a plastic locating tab over here. And then of course you can just kind of pick it up. You can look in the port, see if it looks like it's aligned and centered properly. It's pretty hard to screw this up, but yeah, just make sure everything's aligned good. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put one of that silver screws back in. Actually, I'm gonna put both the silver screws back in. I'm gonna do the one for the charging port first. Now these silver screws do not have any thread lock or Loctite on them. Again, you're dealing with very fine pieces here. You don't need to go crazy or over torque them. I haven't worked on electronics a whole lot, guys, but I've worked on cars a bunch. And one of the biggest mistakes I think many people make is they love to over torque things. They just crank them down to the point where they break stuff. On things like this, you just gotta snug it up. Again, the black ones having the thread locker, they're not gonna come loose. So that's in. So now you've got these little clips here, okay? And you just press them back down till they snap in. And it's really just kind of a feel thing. You'll know, you should know when they're in there, and then just go over them gently, of course. Again, make sure they're fully seated, and put the other silver screw in. Okay. Now this blue wire we did not touch. These do kind of stack on top of each other in a certain way. So if these wires were to kind of come loose, just make sure that the white one goes on the bottom, the black's in the middle, and the blue's on top, and they'll stack in there real nice and neat, which again is important because the fit for this case is so snug. If anything is like bulging out where it shouldn't, it's not going to seal properly later. But it's really pretty simple. When you see it, guys, you'll know. Okay. So now we got to get these back on their little ports, electrical connectors. And for these, I pretty much just use my finger. It takes a second to kind of line them up where they need to be. If you're going to use anything else, just be very gentle. You'll kind of feel it a little bit. There's a little bit of a click when they do go. You'll know if they're seated. They're not seated, they don't stay put. So it does take a little bit of patience to get these on. For whatever reason, it's taking me a little longer this time. There we go. I got it. So there was a little click there. You probably couldn't hear it, but they do have these little clips or brackets to hold the wires in a specific spot as well. So make sure you put those back in there just so everything's very neat. Okay, so the black one's on there. Now I got to get this white one to fully seat. There you go. Once they're lined up, they will go. You just have to get them lined up. Okay. So that's it. It is back in there. At this point, you can literally, you just put this little cover back on, close up your battery, and time to put on your case and you're done. For me, I'm also going to be replacing this battery now. So now I'm going to go through the steps to do that. So let's take a look at the factory one here. This is an identical one. This is battery model number NA50. NA50. They have several different ones that are NA, different numbers, or some of them are like NF50, but this is NA50. It just has these two connectors here, and up top here there is another little piece of tape. Since I have not removed this battery fully at this point, I haven't had to remove that tape until now. A little harder to do with gloves on. There we go. Now this part I have not done yet, so this is a kind of learn as I go sort of thing. But okay, so I believe, yeah, these little connectors right here, I think they go under this little plastic plate here. And there's a bunch of little screws that look very similar to the ones that we've already removed. And I think I'm gonna have to remove those to get that whole plate to come off. Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do now. So there's 3 screws on the bottom here, 2 more right here. So 3 on the bottom, 3 on top, and then 1 more on the side here. There we go. Okay, so this little plastic cover came off. I don't know if that's going to do the trick and allow me to get the rest of this off. It might. Oh. Okay, so when I took off that lens cover, it exposed 1 more Phillips screw right here. Okay, I bet that's it. I bet that's the whole problem. 1 more hidden screw that was under here that I couldn't see, because even though that cover is clear, there was some, I don't know, black adhesive, or no, actually it's this blue paint, I guess, to match the phone. I think that was the hidden piece. That was still a little bit of resistance. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, there's 1 more down here. You can't see them under the paint or whatever covering they got there. once you know they're there. Okay, now I'm wondering if there's some on this side over here. Phone may not look as pretty when it's all said and done, but I don't really care about that too much. There we go, now it's coming up. Well, you know what? That might just give us the clearance we need now. I think taking all those screws out will now give us the clearance we need. So I'm gonna try to get this battery in there. There we go. Okay. I got the right one in. It definitely snaps in place. You'll know it. You'll know it when it does. I gotta see if I can get this left one. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's part of the cameras themselves. I don't know. Something still seems to be hanging on. Maybe there's one more hidden screw behind this stupid fake paint. You know what? I'm just gonna scrape this fake paint off, because at this point, I care more about getting this fixed right than anything else. And I feel like there's a hidden something somewhere. Huh. Well, I got all these little pieces of paint, which I don't really want getting in to the inside, so maybe I will just leave that. Gosh, kind of a headache here. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can focus on getting this side of the battery in. Pretty dang close to where it needs to be. It just needs to, oh, I see sparking. I literally just saw a little tiny spark, so we're getting close. Like when you connect a car battery. It's so much easier if I could just fit my finger in there. Or better yet, if I could get the stinking cover off. It's one of those things where so simple yet so time consuming, because you couldn't take apart what you wanted to fully take apart. Ooh, did I get it? I think I got it. I think we're there. Well, there's one way to test it. All right, so I'm gonna try to show you guys here. If you can see in there, so just the little tab just goes in right there. Hopefully you can get a little bit of a view there. And then same thing on the other side, although it's much easier over here because I could fit my whole finger in there. Battery is now nice and smooth and flush. All right, guys. So now we can finally put the cover back on here. Now, if you didn't have to do the battery part of this, obviously you skip all that and you go right to this cover part. Super quick and easy. And the cover lines up pretty easily. I did keep these screws separate on this one, but they are, to my eyes, they are all the same as these other ones over here. Yeah, they look to all be the same length to me. Again, you don't need to tighten these down very tight. You just snug them till they stop. So even if it wasn't pretty, guys, hopefully you now know how to change the battery. What you have to do, it's just 2 electrical connectors. It'd be super easy job if you could get that darn cover off easier And maybe there's just one more hidden screw in there. I don't know. I don't understand why. You know, it made sense why that one side wasn't coming after I found those 2 hidden screws. But the rest of it does not make sense to me. I was trying to scrape off that paint and kind of just making a mess, and realized that I should probably stop before I get this everywhere. But again, at this point, I don't care about the cosmetics with this phone. I just want it to work, be reliable, get the cover back on so it can keep dirt and dust out. And even though it was a bit of a messy process, really just the battery part, hopefully this will all be worth it. So there you go. Got a brand new battery installed. Got the plate back on. Your charge port is installed. I don't know if you guys can see that in there. It's nicely centered. One side note, if you finish up and you power your phone back on and you don't have a service, it says no SIM or something like that, your SIM card is right here. That's what that little thing is. And if this is even just popped out slightly, just a little bit, it won't register your SIM card. So just make sure that that is fully seated and pressed in there. Okay, we can fold this back down. Yeah, this part here, I mean, that's how it was from the factory. Seems a little weird, but when you put the case on, it just kind of flattens that out right there. That goes like that, flattens that out. So we can put our tape back here now. And right there, pretty much how it was. Okay, so now I'm gonna put all the screws back in here in this little plate that I took out. I'm gonna press this in. There's little clips here. Okay, those snapped in, that's snapped in. Just gonna make sure everything seems to be lining up properly first. Good, 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 good. Now, obviously you don't wanna fully assemble this yet until you know that the new battery works and it's seated in there properly, right? So now's the time to try to power on the phone. Looks like it's powering on. I think I did it correctly. All right, good. So even though that was a bit of a headache, you know, maybe my struggles will help someone out there. Put a screw in this corner. Basically, guys, if it's not going down and this plate right here is not flush, make sure there's nothing underneath it, of course. And then if it is clear, it's probably just the screw itself that needs to kind of snug it all down, right? Hopefully it'll seal pretty well with the new adhesive I put on. I'm sure it'll be good enough. Again, all I really need to do is keep all the dirt and dust out. I don't even really care if it's waterproof at this point. I've been running around for a couple weeks now with nothing but this case snapped onto the back of it, so it hasn't exactly been sealed away from the elements all that well. And you know what? It still functions. Sometimes in life you do what you got to do to get by for a little bit. If all you care about is pretty, well, then maybe you don't do any of this and you just go buy a new phone, which is fine, but phones are pricey, even Androids. And with the new battery, the charging should, in theory, be very good now, almost like new with this phone. So that's kind of cool. You know how phones age and their batteries start going. It's still an older phone. I can't change the software or anything like that at this point, but if I have a good fresh battery and a good fresh charging port, at least I can keep my phone charged reliably. And then I just gotta wait till the thing crashes on me or whatever, or I feel like getting a new phone, I guess. This job here is easy but tedious, simply because the screws are so small. Try to always stay clean when you're doing this sort of thing, but of course when I was scraping off that paint, kind of made a little bit of a mess. All right, So we got the 3 screws on the bottom, 3 screws on the top, 1 on the side here. That's our 7 original screws. And then I still have 2 screws left, which is great, because that's these 2 right here on this side. So I'm gonna put those back in. It does look like, to me, it looks like this, I guess you'd say assembly or plate for the lenses for the camera is separate. It looks like it's separate from this other plate I was trying to get out, but for whatever reason, the other plate did not want to come out separately, so still not 100% sure on that. Definitely does not look as good. There, it looks kind of cruddy after I scraped that paint off, but all that paint's doing is hiding factory stuff anyway, which I don't care. I don't mind seeing the factory innards, factory bits. I sort of like seeing how things work, you know. So all our screws are back in. I'm not sure how I'll adhere that on there yet. Actually, I have some of this adhesive that came with the phone cover, the back cover I got. But this adhesive, at first I wasn't exactly sure what it is. It's called UV Loca glue. And it's used for like screens, like screen replacement. So if I were to replace like the screen on here, this looks really bad. This is just a glass cover, and the screen underneath is actually perfect. I have a replacement cover I'll put on here, but anyway, I might be able to use some of that glue just on this here, which I think I'll probably do. And then I'm just gonna do a quick little test fit with this. This does come with some of its own really cheap adhesive, but like I said, I bought some of the factory stuff, which I'm sure is gonna be a lot better. For now, I just kind of want to see if this is gonna, okay, push that down there, fit properly. When it's all said and done, looks like it will. Looks like it goes down flush everywhere. Yeah. I think with the new adhesive, that'll seal up just fine. Originally, there was a bit of adhesive that went around this lens here on the inside. It actually looks like it's a pretty good fit here. I think just for my goal of keeping dirt and dust out, I might be able to just use this exterior adhesive and not even bother with this one, because again, this is obviously, this might work with these lenses on a different part, like on the inside part of the lens. I was looking for just an oval strip of adhesive, which is what I kind of scraped off, took off when I cleaned up the sides and the edge of the other one here as well. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. So again, there was a little bit of force just with this part right here, this little ribbon piece right here. Originally, I thought this ribbon piece would have to go like tuck around the side here, but that's not how they had it originally from the factory. So unless they made a mistake when they originally installed it from the factory, which is possible, I suppose, I would have had to have this piece like down before I installed that. I'm gonna call it a ribbon wire because I don't know what else it's called, but either the positive or the negative for the battery. Before I installed that, I would have had to put this down kind of around the edge of the battery, tucked into the side there. But no, I think this is absolutely fine. Okay. So again, this is supposed to be the OEM factory adhesive. I bought it from the same place as the battery. As a retailer in the Midwest. I don't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head. So we're gonna peel off this clear part, lay the adhesive down, and then once we rub it all down, then we peel off this blue part. So I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna start kind of on the bottom here. I'm not using any force right here yet. All right, so once you get lined up, you're just gonna kind of firmly press it on there. And this does look like it's a really good match when you get it really all lined up. It contours every little part of the phone there perfectly, so. I'm gonna start here. I'm just gonna go around, start peeling it off. If it starts coming up a little bit, just go back down, press it down a little bit. Yeah, right here on the bottom, it's wanting to come up. So I can just go down, press that down a little bit. And you'll be able to reset it a little bit after you take out this blue part too. Okay, kind of see. And you got this nice adhesive. You can see where it's up right there. I'm gonna have to press that down. You got this nice adhesive, goes all the way around. Oop. Fits, yeah, fits perfectly. I think this probably is OEM adhesive because it is really good fit. Pretty impressed with that. You get lined up perfectly. It lines up perfectly. The only part I gotta kind of fix a little is this bottom part here. It is pretty thin. It's pretty thin adhesive once it's on there. Now, like I said, this came with its own kind of cheap adhesive. I don't think this is the same stuff at all. In fact, I know it's not. This is just a cheap little one they gave you when you bought the phone cover. I'm just gonna leave it on there. I'm not gonna bother taking it off of here, but I don't think this would do a very good job sealing it. So anyway, okay. Thinking I can probably just put this on later. I don't think I have to worry about that at the moment. I think I can leave that off of there. I'll stick it on there for a time being, but okay. All right, so now I'm literally just gonna place it on there. It might not be a bad idea if you wanted to, again, take a hairdryer or your heat gun and just kind of make this soft for a second, make it a little more sticky. But you know what? I think it's gonna be just fine. I'm gonna line it up the best I can. And I mean, you'll know, it really only goes one way. And yes, you guys, I am not bothering with doing the adhesive around here. I think it'll be just fine for what I need it to be. You know, is it gonna be as good as the factory there? Obviously not, since I removed the original adhesive from that spot. But in this case, so again, this is a cheaper aftermarket case, but it fits really well as well. It's a plastic case. One thing they kind of recommend after this is maybe stacking some books on it for an hour or two so the sealant can really bond, which makes sense, right? But you can see, so before, I'll go ahead and take this off now. Even though this isn't a factory case, it still does say Motorola and everything. Yeah, looks fine. But yeah, it's sealed nicely around all the edges there. It really is. So you just press it on. I'm just gonna go around at least a couple times probably, just make sure. I'm actually pretty happy with that, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just leave this, I guess, at this point. I'll probably just leave the rest of that paint on there and live with it. I know it's not pretty, but it's more about function at this point. So again, that's it, guys. At this point, there's not much left to say or do. Hopefully this helped somebody. I know my videos are a little bit longer, but I like to take the time to show some of the problems that you might encounter, and I do encounter at times, as you could see. And it's really easy to edit videos down and make everything look super simple, but that's just not the way it is for a lot of people, especially if you're not used to doing things on your own. You know, you're kind of new to the handyman or the do-it-yourselfer type of stuff, or it's just a particularly weird thing that has you stumped. You know, it's nice to have a little bit of that extra detail at times. There's been many times where I've been watching how-to videos on things, and I'll have to watch 5 or 6 videos because I'm looking for a very specific piece of information, and they go over 80-90% of the info in a lot of the videos, but they leave out that one piece, and then I'll finally find a video where they give me that one piece of information. So, you know, is it saving you time to watch one video that's a little longer and more informative, or to watch 5 or 6 videos trying to find that piece of information, you know? And usually it's not like that, but every now and then you'll come across a problem or a project where it's very specific, right? Where everyone else's problem is not fit your specific problem at that time. So anyway, guys, I hope this helps someone. Once I get this new glass screen cover on the front here, it'll almost look good as new, except for this part. But, you know, the important thing is that the phone works now. It functions. It should charge just fine. Yeah, so again, all in for the battery, the charging port, and this factory adhesive and everything, I think it was like probably $60, guys, so not bad. You know, definitely better than buying a new phone. Alrighty, that'll do it.